Welcome to the Geek Arena podcast, powered by 1776 Gaming, where nerd culture meets patriot power. Whether you're rolling a D20, grinding for loot, arguing over who the best Batman is, or binging sci-fi until 3 a.m., you've found your people. Each week, we dive headfirst into the world of gaming, comics, tech, movies, and everything gloriously geeky with no holds barred and zero filter. Hosted by the crew that brought you 1776gaming.com, we're not just players, we're freedom-loving fanatics bringing that revolutionary energy to every topic, guest, and hot take. Strap in, squat up, and let the geek flag fly. This is the Geek Arena.
Powered by Riverside
Hello,
FM.
everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Geek Arena podcast. This is the Arena Takeover. I'm Hellspawn Gigas, and I'm here with my good gaming buddy, Spudsack, and our 1776 chaperone today, ChezThug. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Oh, just chilling, man. So Grant and Traveling Man recently, they did a lot of podcasts, and they did one with Grey Matter, and, they talked forever about PUBG, and, the arena got brought up a bunch, and, he asked me to do a podcast, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to kind of talk about, how we all met and whatnot, when did we meet, Diet?
So we had met. Backstory is that there was a major Xbox server crash. They were getting cyber attacked, and it was like a week straight.
Those poor controller players.
Yeah. And when that happened, I discovered that the thousands of dollars in video games that I had digitally on my Xbox weren't actually mine, because unless I had access to the servers, I couldn't play them, and that really upset me. So
Isn't that crazy, man? Like, Sack always makes jokes about like let's be for real here. I'm basically like a dinosaur on the internet, right? Like, I basically got one foot in the grave. Not basically. But it's crazy because, like, back in the day, you owned everything, right? And now these days, like, we've given up ownership for access.
Right, exactly. And so when I found that out, I had reached out to my cousin. He had a gaming PC. It was like the $1,000 A to B version of a car put into a computer. It was pretty rough.
What does that mean, A to B version? Like, what does that mean?
Like, it just gets you there. Don't take it anywhere else.
Okay.
It just gets you there.
So if you had to describe the A to B computer in terms of like what it could play, like what would you say?
So it was able to play.
Definitely League of Legends, right? We're playing League of Legends, 100%.
Yeah.
Diablo 2, done, check, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was able to play like The Sims 4. It was able to choke out PUBG. I think I remember getting about 50 frames.
Oh, that's
40 to 50 frames on PUBG.
So like a console.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I was pretty satisfied with that. So I had played with the 1776 guys on console, and then I transitioned to PC. And I'm not really sure how. I think I was just playing with randoms, and I caught somebody who introduced me to Discord, and they introduced me to the arena server. It wasn't. I didn't directly meet you until I was like, "Oh, this person's in here." I jump in, and you're like, "Oh, hey, man, what's up? Nice to meet you." And like, I'm like, dude, I don't even like. I was playing PUBG on PC with a Xbox Wolverine controller because I was still tainted at the time.
Dude, the Razer Wolverine controller is probably one of the finest controllers I've ever come across. That shit is sick.
I think
dude.
I had one. I think I still have one of those.
Those are so good, man. Those are so good.
That was my first like
still in my
upscale
drawer.
controller.
Yeah, it's still in my drawer. It's right here next to me.
So like, here's the story, man. Here's the bedtime story, right? It was June 2017. I was working in Vegas at the Red Rock Casino, and I had recently got myself a PC. but not for the same reasons that most people get a PC, right? So I was like kind of like an avid collector of retro games and stuff. Like I had a big collection
Mhm.
of like GameCube, Nintendos. I like bought and sold the shit, bought the shit from like yard sales. I had a big eBay store that I did for a little bit, but I was really big on that shit. But I wanted, at the time, I didn't know anything about like PC gaming and stuff, but
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to be able to like kind of re-experience all those old games if I wanted to.
Yes,
And
and
I had
actually, sorry to butt in,
no,
but
go
actually,
ahead.
I still have retro
Right,
art with all of those old games that you sent me.
right,
On
right.
It was like one of the first
Whoa, whoa,
things
whoa,
where
whoa,
you're like,
whoa.
look,
What are you talking about? Are you talking about ROMs? Because that would be illegal. I don't know
no,
what you're talking about.
no, no,
Um,
but it was
yeah.
you were like dude, I'm gonna trust you with this. That was like the first thing. Like you like sat me down. You're like, look, I'm gonna trust you with
So
this
the
because
di-
this has some personal information.
so the yeah. So the deal is I was frustrated because the amount of space and cable management, all the shit that you would have to do to have like a retro gaming station, it just didn't make sense. You know what I mean? And then I got turned on to emulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of people have like a bad like kind of like thinking towards like doing that. But like I own most of the games that I have copies of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you're allowed to have one digital copy of every game you own. You actually are by law. There's nothing illegal about it. So I got a PC because I wanted to kind of like store all my shit so I never lost it. You know, I didn't want to
Yeah.
lose access to those games, and that's why I originally got a PC. But anyways, dude, I'm at work, dude, and my buddy Eric, he's like watching the stream or something, and he shows me it was Mr. Grimm's, dude. And at the time it was third person, but I watched like a 45-second clip of PUBG. I didn't know it was PUBG at the time, right? And I saw some crazy ass shit, dude, and I was like, "What is that?" And I got introduced to it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then like the rest is history. Like I spent the next like 9 months playing, but I had friends that didn't have PCs. You know what I mean? But everybody knew about PUBG because it was all over Twitch. You know what I mean? Everybody was watching. It was like we don't have to get onto the PUBG thing because I feel like PUBG's taken up so much time in all the podcasts so far. But like, it was a fucking movement, man. It was a fucking movement, bro.
Yeah.
If I can talk about PUBG for a second,
Yeah.
how I got into it is I saw like there was a trailer or something for it back before it came out on PC, probably January or February ish, and I was thinking like this is the next big game, but I don't have a PC, so now I got to play Fortnite for the next 8 months until it comes out on Xbox. And then finally in December of that year, I got it on Xbox, and then
You've never admitted to playing Fortnite ever before, dude.
I had like
What the-
it's me and my friends in college needed some kind of battle royale to like hold us over until PUBG came. And as much as we really didn't enjoy Fortnite at all, but we needed to play.
But that was the thing, right? We had all had TDM shoved down our throats for 10 years.
Yeah.
And like we were all like TDM fatigued. We didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And that's why Battle Royale was so big. Because it was like it was finally a new way to play. You know what I mean? But anyways, the point is like when PUBG finally released on Xbox, December 2017, I had friends, dude, that had been listening to me talk about this game for 9 months. They've been watching like my shitty clips of me like hitting about 10% of my shots and all that stuff. And they were so excited to finally be able to play the game that I went out and I bought an Xbox from the pawn shop. I refused to pay full price for that shit. You know what I mean? But I got the what was it called? The Xbox
One?
Slim Series S. What was it?
Oh yeah, it was like
It was like Xbox
S.
One Slim or something.
Like some weird era, like in between. Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But so like I don't know how I always do it, but every time I get on like I like network with people always, right? Before I know it, I'm hooked up with the bio guys, Brotherhood of Integrity organization, right? And before you can even say go, dude, we're running PUBG tournaments, dude, because that shit's in my blood, dude. I want to do that shit, you know.
I don't know if you're allowed to curse on this podcast. I think it's a family program.
We'll cut it out. We'll check. We'll check with Grant. We'll have to do a lot of splicing.
Yeah.
But But yeah, and that's the thing. We were doing PUBG tournaments and we were trying to network out, and somebody knew Savage the Boss, and Savage the Boss
Yes.
was the connect the dots for me and the Bio Discord server.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the
Actually,
1776. Excuse me, not Bio.
actually, Savage the Boss was the one that brought me into the arena because I remember watching him stream on Facebook,
Right,
of all places.
Wow.
right. And let me tell you something about Savage the Boss, man. I think that like it's easy to hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
I think that he was fully like into Facebook, right? He was committed to it.
He was.
He had a good thing going on there. I think Savage the Boss was way ahead of his time. Like his stream was way better than most people's.
Yes.
And I think that unfortunately, looking back on things, he probably put his time in the wrong place through no
Yes.
fault of his own, you know.
Mhm.
But it was
Yeah.
always fun. And then I think that things kind of tend to trend in and out a lot quicker on consoles than they do, you know what I mean, on PC gaming. Like out with the old, in with the new. It's very much that way on console. At least it feels that way to me. And then like on PC, like games like CS:GO and League of Legends can just literally like outlast your lifetime. You know what I mean? Like they'll be playing that when we're all dead, still playing it.
Right.
So yeah. And that's actually where I met Sack too.
In League of Legends?
PUBG tournaments, man. I don't think you ever actually played in any of the Xbox tournaments, but
Yeah, I did.
You did?
No, I played in a couple. Yeah, I won one of them.
Yeah, I had to send
two
you
of them.
I had to send you money, didn't I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you still owe me.
Bullshit. Bullshit. I always pay, bro. I always pay, dude.
Yeah, you were running the PUBG tournaments on Xbox on here, or on not on here, but on Discord, and I got into those
Dude,
with a couple of my friends that we were running with, and I don't play with them anymore. But
right
now, 8 years later, you and I are still playing.
We've always, and by we I mean me, but we've always come up with like great formats, dude. Like we had the greatest format on Xbox. Like we had to like troubleshoot it. We had a league on there, right? But we didn't have custom games on Xbox. So what we did is we had an 8-team league. Dude, I have my t-shirt, bro. The Chumasara Rattlers, dude. I still have my t-shirt, dude. You know what I mean? It was a big deal. But the way it worked, and it was kind of annoying. Oh, my computer just went to sleep. Okay. But the way it worked was that whoever you were playing against that week, right? It was like a head-to-head. They would play 3 public matches. They would stream it.
Right.
And then one of the players from the opposing team was tasked the responsibility to watch the stream and verify the points. We had point system set up for like making it to certain circles, X amount of players left, and how many points per kills. So it wasn't a perfect system because like you could like, you know, everybody always has an excuse when they get shit on in PUBG, right? It was like, oh man, you get all the easy lobbies. You play at 10 a.m. I had to play at 6:30 on a Saturday night, man, with all the sweats. It's not fair. You know, it's not fair. So like, it wasn't perfect, man, but we had some real creative people in Bio. I can't remember. Joshua Jean was his name. And he was a hell of an artist. I don't know if it was him or his girlfriend, wife, whatever. But they did some artwork for their team. They were the Painan Pirates. If I look really hard, I think I can still find that logo. It's some cool artwork. So we had t-shirts. It was a good time. I really wish it wasn't so hard. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard on the internet to get a group of people to cooperate over a period of time. You know, like you got to provide a lot of value to get somebody's attention on the internet.
Especially on when we were playing on console where people are shifting games every 2 months.
You have to provide a ton of value just to get somebody's attention because it's just too easy to swipe. You know what I mean? Or open up a new tab, you know?
Yeah, because most people aren't there for community. Like, I'm one of the few people who got on PUBG on Xbox, found a group of guys in 1776, and preferred to play with the guys just because we had similar things in common, and PUBG became more about community than it did the actual video game. I was relatively decent on console. On PC, I'm terrible. But anytime I'm on because you guys are on, or uh, Grant and them are on, because I only boot up the game to play with friends.
Yeah, I
I'm
understand.
not grinding it out like you were. You and I
PUBG,
are two different animals when it comes to that.
PUBG has always been a great reason to get online, but it's probably always been the worst game to try to build a group around,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was when I got on. Was I met a group of like 3 or 4 other guys, and it was kind of, you know, these are the only people that I'm going to play with for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to meet
Right.
anybody else.
Right. You get into these into these pockets of people that you want to play with, and then somebody can't make it, and another person, a random comes in, a fill-in comes in, and they're good and they want to play, and then next thing you know, you can only play with 3 other people at any point in time.
Mhm.
And it was always like this thing of
Who's getting
all right,
excluded
log on
today?
to PUBG and hide by going offline because you know you're getting 7 invites to play.
Mhm.
So that was the difficult part, is you can't, it's not TDM, so you can't have groups of 6 or more.
Yeah, there's definitely some different, like, I think people would normally say there's different play styles, but I think it really comes down to different communication styles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like some people just don't communicate well in a game, you know,
True.
for sure.
True.
It's tough, and we all have bad days, you know what I mean? And you get frustrated and stuff. But yeah, I'm very grateful to still be playing with you guys and doing stuff with you guys. I really am. You know what I mean? That's how you know you have real friends. Like when they
Mhm.
can put up with your bullshit for 10 years
Or
And
fly out
there's-
to meet you.
and they're still willing to show up when you send them a message out of the blue and be like, hey, I got this new thing I'm working on. I need you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I really do appreciate having you guys to play with still.
That just happened the other day with us, where you kind of got pissy with me and Gnarls,
Yeah.
and then you messaged me the next day, and I was like, all right, I'll play.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like you're gonna have disagreements and stuff like that. But I think that's the key thing. Like with with the good people, like you can get through it. You know what I mean? Because like there's understanding and stuff. You know. So, but
Yeah.
that's good, man. So the thing about it is maybe you can shed some light for me. I think it's interesting because like we're really stretching here because like as Sack mentioned, I'm a fucking dinosaur and my memory's not what it used to be. But
Mm-hmm.
we can fill in some gaps here. Maybe you can fill in some gaps for me because when I first came into 70, you know, I thought that Savage the Boss was actually like one of the like head guys in 1776 at the time. You know what I mean? He was just like the I don't know how you call it. He was like one of the biggest like advertisers of the server. And I thought
Yeah.
because of
He had a
that,
big
that was
personality.
he did, man.
He did.
He did. But before you answer, at the time, Death Psycho was the guy that was running things. I don't think Grant was in the picture at the time, or if he was, my interaction was very like minimal with him. And then years passed, the server kind of fell apart because majority of the community was on console. They were trying to do shit
Mhm.
on Discord, and it just
Yeah.
doesn't match. At least
Mhm.
during that period of time, it didn't match. Because you're asking people to not use the interface on the Xbox, right? With their
Mhm.
friends list, their
Mhm.
messages and stuff. Like it never made sense to them, and I get it.
Right.
But like, can you kind of fill that in for me? Like with the whole
So-
Grant, Death Psycho, like, because you were there for a while, right? When I met you, you had been in 17.6 for a little bit. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was probably in there for like a year at least. I want to say a definite year. When I came in, there was a shift there's a transition in power. Traveling Man and his wife were running some things right underneath Death Psycho. And there were some disagreements between him and another couple. And I can't even remember their usernames at this point. I know their government names, but Traveling Man and his wife stepped down. Those two stepped up. Grant was a neutral party in it. He was still somebody who was in a position of power, but I think he was just like Sweden and everything. He was just neutral. You guys hash it out. I'm here for the long haul. I don't care who's here, kind of a thing. So, the 1776, they had the Discord going, and they were trying to get tournaments set up and they were doing it in a similar fashion to those BIOS guys with the 3 rounds.
They're ripping me off,
the
is what you're
bonus.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, oh, that's a good idea. We're going to do that. And there was a very much a patchwork community of people from literally all across the world. There's some people in UK, which was hilarious to me because it was like a Republican like server. It was very much red, white, and blue, and guns and everything like that. Then you had a couple of English people in there that would get constant flack, but they were always accepted. And so that's where it was, and I jumped in right at the coming on down the other side of the crescendo, and it started to fall apart slowly. And there was kind of a split between PUBG and Battlefield. Battlefield used to be their bread and butter, but PUBG came along and everybody was like, like you said, PUBG. So, and some people just didn't.
Well,
like
it's
it,
better.
Man. What was better?
Duh.
I mean, yeah, PUBG was better.
Well, Battlefield back in the day was the shit.
Battlefield's
like,
sick. Don't get me wrong.
Before like
Battlefield's sick.
2015.
Yeah, Battlefield. I think they did most of their stuff on Battlefield 4. Is it?
Okay.
I think that's what they did most of their stuff on. And I mean, you had players like I'd play Battlefield with some players who you could have told me that they had an actual like jet pilot stick or helicopter stick for a controller. The way that they were whipping these aircraft around, it was insane. One guy's name was literally King Chopper, and that's all he did was use choppers. And so when I started meshing with Arena, and that was pretty much when everything was dying, and you had the small pockets of cliques just still like meeting up and things like that. So Death Psycho had been along the long time head of things, but the administration underneath him was changing, and when it changed, some people split.
I see. Yeah. Went on a little rant there. Yeah, that was weird. And then 1776, as far as I could tell, just kind of went dormant for about 2 or 3 years. Yeah?
Yeah. It went dormant until really recently. It got wind under its sail again.
I like Grant's energy. And I just recently met Traveling Man, and I like him a lot.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah.
Now, are they who's in charge now? Is that who it is?
I think so. I mean, I think so. There's a lot of titles over there. I get confused, man.
Yeah, because I'm kind of new to the Discord. I haven't really known these guys that long.
They have an IT guy and they have an HR guy. And I'm just thinking the IT guy can like just pull the plug on the HR guy. You know what I mean? So maybe he's like the emperor. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking.
The one guy who's like really in the background pulling strings is I think it's Smokey. If I'm not mistaken. I think Yeah, it's Smokey, and basically they do a democracy thing. So Smokey has this idea, he brings it up to Grant and Traveling Man, and they talk about it. They agree on some things, they disagree on some things. What they did do is they did manage to pull some streamers, and they're sponsoring these streamers and promoting them, and in return, these streamers are supporting the Discord. And it's been pretty healthy so far.
Gnarls is one of their latest streamers now. I think he's
Gnarls jumped in? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I think, but Grant was pretty cool about it. He's like, he doesn't have to change his tags. He can still be like Arena and stuff. Because he was going to take like one of my clan members away from PUBG. And I was like, hold up, bro. That's like
Are we supposed to do our game challenges if you take Gnarls?
That's like 26% of our clan right there.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, he's super cool about it. He's not they're really not trying to steamroll anyone. Definitely. So
yeah. I've been
they're
enjoying like kind of collaborating with him and stuff. And when I kind of went over the server, I all of a sudden saw a group of people that were enthusiastic about PUBG. And I've been trying to get this league going on PC for quite a while now, but I'm pretty picky
Mhm.
these days, you know, as far as like who I want to like interact with.
Sure.
And it's hard.
Sure.
I mean, there's like 500,000 players playing PUBG on a daily basis, but you can't find 30 people that aren't shitheads. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
hard.
is one of our first games that we played. There's those pair teaming on solos. Like, why is and
It's okay. It's okay.
How was she supposed to win?
You can let it go. That was a misunderstanding, but that's all right. We don't have to call anybody out.
No, I'm not even pointing out names. I'm just saying the point of bringing that up is like there's so much effort that's been put into the background that when stuff like that happens, it really does. It jades you, puts a bad taste in your mouth, and then you become, like you said, picky.
Yeah, for sure. Like
what time you're investing into where.
Yeah, because the thing is if you're trying to do stuff on the internet, you're asking people to invest their time, and if you do things in a manner to where they feel like they're wasting their time, you're done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're done. But okay. So I think we covered that. What about you, Sack? Did you come from any communities or anything like that? I mean, I just kind of been like rolling with you for like 9 years, but you're like the strong silent type. You know what I mean?
No, I was never part of any really community until Arena.
Yeah.
I just kind of played by myself. I was pretty good, but I had a couple friends that I played with, but mostly it was all business. You know what I mean? I didn't really have a big group.
Did you find it hard to kind of find a spot because you were like maybe significantly better than everybody else at the games you were playing? Like, was that like, it sounds weird, right? But like, did that create any kind of like weird challenges for you? Like, I know that we've done a lot of like little like solos and stuff, and like I'll intentionally like put you by yourself,
right,
when everybody else has a partner, and like you've always been really cool about that, and it works out probably about right. But like, I guess that does kind of like create some challenges too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have that kind of challenge when I was playing on console, just because everybody kind of had their own big ego about everything. Like everybody thought they were better than everybody.
Oh, for
there was never like conceding that somebody's better than you. So it wasn't really a problem.
No, that's legit. I remember that for a fact. Like,
yeah,
people are like, no, you are definitely better.
And like, if they couldn't whoop you, dude, your mom was fat. For sure.
Oh yeah, you have no idea how many people had intercourse with my mother.
Yeah. Yeah, by the end of the day, your mom was 1,000-pound whale.
Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure. Your mom
but when I got to
the fattest, bro. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
When I got to Arena, I was just kind of playing the tournaments with you guys. I wasn't really trying to make friends or anything. I probably wouldn't have continued playing with you if you didn't like kind of force me to.
Yeah.
Like have the personality that you do to bring people in and get them to play.
For sure.
Otherwise, I'd probably still be playing by myself.
I mean, I'm a firm believer, man. Like, everybody uses Discord, but I think it's misused in a lot of ways, right? Like, what's the point of a server if you're not playing games together? Like, what is the point of having 500 people in your server if you're not doing a game night once in a while? Like, it's just weird. You know what I mean?
It becomes just a micro social media server. It's just your own little thing.
I could go on a fucking 30-minute rant about Discord and how people use Discord, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, we still got to talk for like 30 more minutes, so
I know.
I can just go AFK if you want.
No, we're good. We don't have to get into all that. But yeah, so we kind of covered like, you know, how we met and stuff like that. You know, it was really cool though. Diet did come fly out from, and I always mix it up. Was it Chicago or Detroit? I know it's one of those places where people get murdered a lot. You know?
Yeah,
but
you could just name any city in America.
Wait, what city was it? Was it Detroit or Chicago?
It is Detroit.
It is Detroit. And that is the murder capital. Is that correct?
It was, not anymore.
It was. We were number one like like least safest.
You guys have
city
fallen off.
to be in.
You guys suck, man. You guys can't even
Ever
murder
since
people
the
anymore.
ever since the Lions got good, now Detroit's safe.
Yeah, it's all peaceful now. They've cleaned up. They literally cleaned up
It's-
downtown Detroit.
People are all holding
it's
hands
insane.
in the park.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
shit.
it's insane. It's
They don't
insane what a
have. They're not
sports team
upset about
does
their
for a
football
city.
team anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I live like right outside of Las Vegas. Diet lives in some murder capital. And Zach, you just moved, right? Wyoming?
Yeah, I live in Wyoming now.
And what's that like? That's got to be like completely different because
It's
you live-
just like Detroit.
what? I mean, you lived in DC
No,
for a
that's
long time.
yeah. I lived
You-
in DC for 18 years.
I hope you don't mind me saying that. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're not there anymore, But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, Wyoming's real quiet, real nice. I'm pretty sure it's the lowest crime rate in the U.S. I haven't researched that, but
You
if
guys.
it's not, it's very close.
So I just have this feeling that as the population shrinks, like in a place like where you're from, like
Mhm.
they get a little bit like looser with like the owning guns and carrying guns, right? What's the policy out there where you live?
Well, a fun fact: there's actually more guns in Wyoming than there are people,
Wow.
so they're super loose with it.
How do you come up with that kind of statistic? Like how do they reach that number?
I mean, every gun that gets purchased is tracked, and we purchase them legally here, unlike in
Ev-
Detroit.
Diet, you hear that? Every gun that's purchased is tracked, dude. You got something to say about that?
I mean, guns are tracked here until you file off the serial number.
Gotcha. Do they teach that in schools out there, public schools? I'm joking.
How to shave off the
I'm
number?
joking.
Yeah.
Bad joke. Okay. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, going back and reminiscing a little bit, man, that's like we did a lot of fun things over the years in the arena. And eventually they all have like their lifespan, right? We did the PGA for a while. That was really cool.
Mhm.
We did Valheim playthroughs. What else did we do? We tried a bunch of game nights. None of them really
yeah.
stuck, but they were fun, while we did them.
Yeah, we played some Icarus. We played what was the other game we played? We tried Enshrouded, couldn't really get into it.
That's my fault. Yeah, I just hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like one of those games for me that are like really good on paper, but something just goes wrong when I play
Mhm.
it. It's a me thing. Everybody else loves it. It's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good game. It's like Zelda multiplayer.
I will say like half of my Steam library is because of you.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that. I've got like 400 games. I
No,
can't
I
say
don't have
200
that
of them are
many
because of
games.
Doug.
I'm not even being funny. I don't have that many games, and I would say easily I'll go like a third of it is because it's like, hey man, get this game, let's check it out, and we play it for
Mhm.
like a period of time, and then we're back to PUBG.
We give it a shot. We give it a shot. It always comes back to PUBG, doesn't it? Sad.
Mhm.
It does. It's like a toxic relationship.
All right, so we did the little segment where we kind of talked about like our history a little bit and stuff, and we're gonna go into the next spot where we're gonna do our top 3 list.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do our top 3 music, top 3 movies, and top 3 video games, and then we're gonna criticize each other on our choices. So what do you guys want to start with? You want to start with movies, music?
Let's do video games. We've been talking about video games.
Okay, so the first one is going to be, we got 3 categories today in our video games, okay? First one's going to be number 1 game from the era you started in. I don't want to hear it. Very funny, Zach. Second one is going to be...
It's yours, Tetris.
It's Pong. No, it's
Yeah.
Pong.
The next... Fun fact, bro. Nintendo came out in 1985, dude. I played the demo model in fucking Circuit City, dude.
Mhm.
Wow.
When you were 36.
Fuck you. Number one game
We'll
from
cut
the
that
era,
out, Trent. Sorry for the cursing.
number one game from the era you started in, number 1 franchise of all time, and the number 1 game that you've played in the last 10 years, not PUBG. So Dia, you want to go first? What's the number 1 game from the era that you started in?
Sure. I really dug my teeth in the PlayStation era when the first PlayStation came out,
Mhm.
and I would have to say the number 1 game that had one of the biggest impacts on me in my life is Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, that's a good one, dude.
Silent Hill had me on the floor, on the edge of my seat, on the ceiling. I remember my dad going to buy the walkthrough.
What was the name of the girl, dude?
Your
daughter that
Yeah.
got abducted and taken in the fog, right?
Yeah, I want to say Jill, but I
Mm-mm.
could be wrong. I think Jill is from Resident Evil.
Jill is definitely from Resident Evil, but is it Anna? No.
Uh,
So
Heather Mason. Heather Mason?
let me ask you a question, because Silent Hill is not one that I really got into. I played a little bit. It was hard. I got lost. I got distracted. I never went back.
Mm-hmm.
But Silent Hill was definitely in like the genre of Resident Evil. Resident Evil was big. It was super popular. Did Silent Hill come before or after Resident Evil? Like, was Silent Hill like inspired by Resident Evil, you think? Or the other way
Yes,
around?
Resident Evil is one of the first like horror suspense. Was the first, if I'm not mistaken, horror suspense.
Well, they started making the Resident Evil movies around the time that Silent Hill, the game, came out, I think.
No, Silent Hill was a disc game on PlayStation 1. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
the release
are
date
you-
for Silent Hill was 1999.
Wasn't Resident Evil? Oh, okay. That's later than I thought it was. Never mind.
Yeah, because Resident Evil movies started getting made like in the 90s, right? It's
Yeah.
gotta be the
Yeah,
90s, right?
Resident
Late
Evil
90s.
came out in 1996.
1996. Wow.
So Silent Hill was definitely number one. One of my favorite things about Silent Hill is they got creative. The fog in Silent Hill actually was purposeful because they used the fog to allow the PlayStation to load the polygon shapes before you got into areas to reduce.
So they
load
kind of hid it
times.
away.
Yeah. So they were trying to reduce load times because that game was so demanding on the PlayStation that
So
they put the fog in.
So they were developing their 4K technology back then. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Sack, number one video game from the era you started in.
Well, it's the first game I ever played, actually, which is Diablo 2.
Oh my god. That is
Me and my dad had my dad had it, and he played the shit out of it, and he was like, you know what I should do is show my 3-year-old son how to play this game. So me and him played that on LAN with I guess that was on dial-up, I think.
Oh yeah, it had to be probably.
Yeah.
So he had his little laptop, and I had I used the big desktop with the tubes.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a great game, dude. That was a great
Mhm.
game. And you know what, man? That game is so good that it inspired so many games after it. You know what I mean? There's still games today that are trying to match that magic of that game.
Mhm.
You know? It was so
I've
fucking.
never played it.
Well, don't play it now because it's gonna disappoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's certain things like the movement, the UI, the graphics.
Yeah.
It just doesn't meet the standards today. It's just one of those you had to be there. You know what I mean? But it was magic, man. It was just as magical as Super Mario. You know what I mean? It really
Mhm.
was. All right, man. My number one game from the era that I started in, and this came a little bit later, you know, than when I first started playing games, but Metal Gear.
Mm.
Metal
Okay.
Gear, man. I've played every single one of those. I absolutely love that story. It was always this like weird politically government conspiracy driven story that no one really quite understood. It was so good. It was so tactical. I love that game, man. Because I feel like that was one of the first games where it didn't seem so basic, right?
Mhm.
You know, like when you played Mario, it was fun, but it was basic, right?
Yeah.
You ran from left to right and you jumped and you didn't fall in holes, you know,
Right.
and all that shit. But like Metal Gear was more tactical. Like you had choices. You could attack the guards, you could shoot them in the head, you could choke them out, or you could avoid altogether. And then if you fucked up, the alarms went off and you'd have to hide, like in little lockers and stuff. So yeah, that for me was like that was great. That was one of the greatest.
Yeah, I never played those games because I didn't own a PlayStation. But I knew how big those games were, you
I
know,
thi-
and
I-
how innovative they got with the stealth.
I think that if you're younger, right? If you're not as freaking ancient like me, I think a lot of people their first entry point to Metal Gear, their first point of reference is probably like Metal Gear 5. that had a
Mhm.
Steam release, that had all the consoles release, and it still had the same core gameplay, but it felt a little bit more open world. You know what I mean? And I don't think
Mhm.
it's quite the same game. If you could ever go back and play like well, they're doing a remake of Metal Gear 3 on Steam. It should be coming out this year, and I hope they don't fuck it up. That would be a great game to check out. I highly recommend checking out that game without knowing anything about the game, just because the franchise was so good. I hope they do a good remake of that. Um, Diet, number one franchise of all time.
You're muted, Diet.
Oh boy, Sack.
Oh,
Sorry
Oh,
about
here
that.
it comes.
there
There
he
it
is.
comes. There it comes.
Sorry about
Uh,
that. I had vacuum going on in the background. Surprise, surprise, Resident Evil.
Resident
I mean,
Evil.
Resident Evil is the first game it's the first thing that me and my dad bonded over. And I just have so many memories of literally sitting in front of the TV for hours trying to figure out these puzzles that these guys put in these games to get the progression that you needed. And you're doing puzzles just to unlock a piece of an item that you have to find somewhere else to put it together. Going to GameStop and buying the walkthrough manual so that you could 100% the thing and figure out the tips and tricks to get like the top rating in the game, because the Resident Evil back in PlayStation days, I think they still do this, but they'll rank you on how many times you've saved the game, how long it took you to get through the entire game, and some of them are like how many times you healed and all these other ones as they've gotten older, but
Sack,
you would literally get ranked.
did you have a lot of experience with Resident Evil, Sack?
I have never played a Resident Evil game.
You've never. Wow.
No,
Wow.
I never owned a PlayStation. They were all on PlayStation.
I got you. That's weird. You know, my daughter is an avid Resident Evil fan, dude. She's got
Mhm.
Leon Kennedy posters all over her wall. She's currently playing through all of them. Diet, have you played the any of the remakes that they made? Not just the new ones, like 3 and 4, but like or 2. Did you play like Resident Evil 1 remade for Steam?
I did not play it remade for Steam, but I played Resident Evil 1, and then when they came out with the like director's cut for Resident Evil 1, I played that one as well. That's
Dude,
like going
This
way back.
this might be like one of those like Mandela effect things, but I watched my daughter play the entire Resident Evil 1 on Steam, and it is not the same game that I played on PlayStation. It's a little different. The puzzles are
Really?
different.
Is she
some of
playing the remake or is she playing the original?
So it's not called a remake.
Oh.
It's okay. It's called Resident Evil 1 HD Remake. It's
So it
on
is called a
Steam.
remake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember. I remember reading about the remakes that they were kind of changing them to make them a little more modern, a little more easier to play.
So they actually changed the flow of the game as well. Like I feel like when they
Right.
remade Resident Evil on Steam, the HD remake, they tried to like implement more of like a puzzle aspect to the game because things aren't where I remember them. Like the things that she had to get to unlock the first door was completely than what I remember. I remember like the beginning of Resident Evil 1 in the mansion, you went to the left, you heard a gunshot. Barry was missing. You went into the first room, you got that famous cutscene of the zombie like eating the guy, right? And you have to shoot him.
Yeah.
But I remember that there's a crest that you pick up. You walk over to the statue in the big room, you put the crest in the wall, and then you go almost immediately to the piano where you have to learn how to play the Midnight Sonata, right? You have to get the notes, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in the first hour in the game on Steam.
Really?
That happens way later, and it actually opens up like the elevator that takes you down into it's like it's all jumbled and out of order.
Maybe the snake boss.
The snake, yeah, all the bosses are still there. Like you still do the same things. You fight the snake, you fight the big shark in the shark tank.
That seems weird that they would do that to flip the order of things. I could see kind of changing, how you finish the puzzle, but changing completely how you play the story doesn't really make sense.
And then also there's a part in the Steam version where you go outside and you go into this like bunker area, and there's like dead bodies and satchels hanging from the wall, and there's like masks that you have to put in the wall in some weird order, and like a coffin comes out, and then that wasn't in the original game unless I'm completely tripping. But go ahead.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, it's all different. It's not bad. It's just I wasn't able to help her. She's like, "Don't you remember this game? You said you played this game." And I'm like, "Dude,
Right.
this is totally different, you know?" But so let me ask you a question. Do you think that Resident Evil has gotten better, or do you think it's kind of got worse? I feel like we need to judge it not on its graphics, right? Like the core gameplay, like the essence of Resident Evil. Is it still here in Resident Evil like 14 or whatever compared to like the original ones? In
You
your
know,
opinion?
I've always struggled with it. The last one that I played with was, I think, with the character Ethan in it, where he's like what turns them into zombies. They're not zombies anymore. They regenerate and things like that, and it's like some kind of fungal spore thing that warps them. It switched from a bioterrorist, like umbrella corporation. They became like fractured and turned into flowers and stuff. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they lost me at it. Like, you could have just stuck with zombies for the rest of my life, and I would have been happy. So I don't think that the new ones are as good.
Yeah, it's really weird too. Like, and I don't want to go into a big rant about like how shitty Diablo 4 is, but it is shitty. But like, I feel like they've kind of like overlooked core gameplay, and they're just looking for like these endless, beautiful $1 million cutscenes, and like
Yeah.
that's enough. That's enough, right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Well, I think what happened is kind of games stopped being passion projects like Diablo 2 or Diablo 1 was
oh, for
made
sure.
for hardcore PC gamers. And then Diablo 3 kind of deviated, but now, like today, games are just made to get
Right.
as many people to pay $60 as humanly possible, rather than making a good game.
Right. Resident Evil 1 was pioneering something. Resident Evil 14 is just milking the same.
How many people can we get to download this game?
Mhm.
What do you think is the best Resident Evil in your opinion?
4?
Yeah, original
Yeah.
or remake?
I haven't gotten through the remake entirely yet, so I'm just gonna say original right now.
Do you feel like I haven't played the remake either. Do you feel like it's kind of faithful to the original gameplay loop?
Yes. The looting system is faithful to the original one. There was some artistic changes and things. I remember the laser being a little different on the gun, because that was like one of the new aiming things. Instead of having the crosshairs when you ADS, you had a laser that came off the bottom of the handgun or
Mhm.
whatever gun that you were using.
Right.
And so now, instead of like you had the crosshair smack in the middle of the screen, you had to figure out where your laser was pointing at every time you ADS.
Okay. All right. All right. Zach, you got a best franchise of all time?
Yeah. So it's not as big or gigantic as Resident Evil, but the Knights of the Old Republic series, which I'm currently playing back through again.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Does that qualify as a franchise? Like, okay, I
I
understand.
mean, there's
it.
2 games.
Okay. Okay. I never played any of them. Like, what's it all about?
So it's a big story game, basically. You have
Okay.
to kind of follow. It's more about the storytelling and the dialogue rather than the actual gameplay, because it's just a turn-based combat system, like Baldur's Gate, sort of. It's more of a real-time turn-based, but so it's a little more fast-paced. But it's
Okay.
more based on the story and the lore.
Okay. Would you recommend it? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Do you think
I replay them almost every year.
Okay. I've never played it. Maybe I'll check it out based on
Mhm.
your recommendation.
Yeah, you can get it on Steam for like $2 or $3 when it's on sale.
So my number one franchise of all time, and it's kind of hard to like wave the banner for this game because kind of like what you're talking about with Resident Evil, I feel like it's really, really veered off like its core, like what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it has such an impact throughout my life that I feel like I have to pick it is the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
remember my cousins playing Final Fantasy all the time.
and I don't really have the attention span these days to play the games like that. You know what I mean? That type of game. It's not in me
Mhm.
anymore to put like 40 hours into like a story game. I can't do it. But man, I spent a lot of time like growing up playing that franchise. And I loved it because like every new Final Fantasy that came out, it was like an alternate universe, right? It was a new story, but it was like still like in that universe, kind of, you know what I mean? And that was the thing about Final Fantasy. Like The combat wasn't really anything special. The looting system and stuff, like it wasn't even close to like rewarding like Diablo and stuff like that. But it was just the story, man. It was always the story that got me, dude. It was like watching a fucking 40-hour movie. I loved it a ton.
I think that's kind of why Knights of the Old Republic still holds up, is because like, the combat in 2002 for most of those games wasn't very good.
Right.
So you can't play those games anymore because it was based around how innovative the combat was at the time. But turn-based combat holds up forever. So you're just kind of focused on the story.
I think that's the problem, right? Like you can't put a game out in 2025 that has turn-based combat and expect to get a good response to it.
Right.
Like people just aren't. You know what I mean?
Because nobody has any attention span anymore.
They're going to be like, "What the hell is this?" You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get through our movies and our music section, man. We really, really went off the ball on this video game thing, but that's fine. Want to try to keep it to an hour, and not rant too much, but we did a good job ranting. Diet, number one game. Actually, let's go with Spudsack. Why not? Did we lose somebody? Are we good?
I got kicked out of Discord.
I think we all just got kicked out of Discord because we're all muted.
We're AFK now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with Saxter here. Number one game you've played in the last 10 years ish. That is not PUBG.
So I just played this. I think I've talked about this a little bit, but Sekiro.
Sekiro, huh?
Yeah, it's a Souls kind of game. It's not quite, because you don't make your own character and your own classes and stuff. You use the same weapon through the whole game.
Okay.
But the combat in that game is fantastic. The storytelling had me like on the edge of my seat the whole time. The intros to some of the fights are super cinematic, like almost like a movie. You kind of forget that you have to fight somebody in 2 seconds.
Alec accused you of not even like reading the story and just blowing through the game. Is that true?
Well, Alec just talks to talk, so I wouldn't read too much into what he says.
He is a talker, for sure. Sekiro, okay. Did you either one of you guys ever heard of a game or franchise that was on PlayStation called Tenchu Stealth Assassin?
I think I've heard of it. I never played it.
Yes.
That might be one of my biggest disappointments in video games, that somehow that series died off. But when I see Sekiro, it reminds me of Tenchu. Not because the game was anything like it. It was more like a Ninja Metal Gear. But yeah, like when I see the guy, like, how like the ninjas, they don't like stand up and run, they kind of like bend over, run, crouch ninja run, like Naruto run. It just reminds me of that a lot. Yeah. Seems like a cool game. Another game I have in my library for 2 years plus, and I've never even launched at one time. I'm terrible at that, man.
I highly recommend it. I will say that it is very, very hard, and you're going to get frustrated.
Do you think you can play it with mouse and keyboard?
I wouldn't.
Really?
I played it on controller, and it was hard enough on controller.
I bet.
But because of the way that you kind of, it's based around locking on, so you're not going to use your mouse at all.
I see.
So it'll just be an awkward way to have your hands. I would play it on controller.
Gotcha. All right. What do you got for us, Diet? Best game you played in the last 10-ish years that's not PUBG.
Well, mine, I'm unapologetically stretching to 15.
Okay.
Because when you said that, I looked this game up and it came out in 2010.
Okay.
It's called Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain.
Okay.
Heavy Rain is basically a drama that's wrapped up. It's a suspense drama that's wrapped up in a video game. You're a couple who has a son, and you're trying to recover from the loss of another child. When this serial killer takes your son because you weren't paying attention for a moment, and he doesn't deem you worthy as a father, and he puts you through all kinds of tests. And as you go, there's interactive cutscenes, and as you go through, each choice that you make is set in the game, and you can't go back.
So what kind of a game is this actually? Is it like a LA Noire type of like detective game, or is it like, are you like playing like a shooter, like a third?
No, it's like a horror story, a suspense thing where you're just trying to get clues from the serial. You're trying to avoid the police so that you can continue to get clues from the serial killer.
Wait, is this a controller game?
It's a
PlayStation game.
game. It's PlayStation exclusive.
All right, so 2 out of 3 recommendations are controller games. Jesus, what's going on here?
It's very, very good though.
That's cool, man. Oh, so you say it's exclusive. We can't play it on Steam or anything, right?
I don't think it's on there. I haven't looked.
It'll probably.
We can look.
Yeah, it'll probably get to Steam eventually. That seems to be.
It is. It's on Steam.
Okay.
Oh,
It is now.
It is on Steam. Oh, there you go.
Yep.
I'm actually gonna go over and add that to my wish list right now.
Right after he says he doesn't want to play story games.
Well, I think I kind of like the idea of having games in my library more than I actually like to play games in my life. Heavy Rain. There's a free demo.
I think there's a second one, isn't there? If I remember it.
Some nudity or sexual content. Jesus.
Ooh, now you're definitely downloading it.
They call it an interactive drama and action adventure.
Dude, it's on sale right now for $3.99.
Is it like a Telltale game? Or are you walking around and controlling your guy?
It's like a Telltale game.
Okay.
Experience a gripping psychological thriller filled with innumerable twists and turns. The hunt is on for a murderer known only as the original Origami Killer. Is this the right game?
Yep, that's it.
So here's the thing. I'm on the Steam page right now. Never mind, I answered my own question. Never mind. All right. I will, dude, you know what? I'll probably just pick it up because it's $3.99. Isn't it amazing to just have Steam?
Yeah.
Can we look up what that's cost right now on PlayStation? Can we just look that up, dude?
Sure. $30.
$30. We can get it for $3.99 right now. Let's imagine, dude.
It's worth it right there, man. It's worth the $1,800 PC right there.
What?
Man. Nothing. Hey, man. So, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Best game.
My best game is Grim Dawn, hands down.
I knew it. Yeah.
Of course. Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn is a offshoot of like the Diablo 2 style of game. Without getting all nerdy and getting into it, it just does everything better. If you haven't checked it out, pick it up on sale. It's like $5. They have seasons that the community puts up twice a year. Absolutely fantastic. Easily top 5 game I've ever played in my life, all time, regardless of the platform. It's fantastic.
It's definitely one of the most well-known beginnings of a video game I've ever played.
Yeah.
I think I've restarted about 35 games with you guys.
yeah, for sure.
And I think that one's a product of, we were talking about earlier, like Diablo has kind of fallen off because they're trying to get as many people to buy it as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think that indie games are kind of the last stand of passion projects, and Grim Dawn is definitely one of those.
Hey, can we fire off our top 3 movies and music and just leave it for discussion in other channels?
I think so. I think it's a good idea. So, yeah. I'll go first. My number 1 band growing up would be Megadeth. I don't necessarily think Megadeth was the best band in terms of the music they put out, but I learned to play guitar on the Rust in Peace album. And I think that the guitarist was like probably to this day one of the best solos I've ever heard. My number 1 current band is Vola, VOLA, kind of a progressive band, not really heavy, screamy, more like melodic, atmospheric, very good. If you like guitar and drums, I would check them out 100%. And I think my most underrated band is A Perfect Circle. I think that Tool gets a lot of credit as like the greatest band from that era, but I think pound for pound, Perfect Circle songs in a lot of cases might be a little better than Tool. Hot take. That's me.
Go ahead, Spud.
Okay. My favorite band growing up was AC/DC. That was my dad's favorite band forever. It still is. I've listened to all of their albums multiple times. I just actually saw them in concert.
Dude, can I ask you a question real quick, dude? How do you get up on the mic one day? Like you're starting a band, right? And you guys are like just writing a new song. Like how do you go up to the mic and make the decision that I'm going to sing like this?
I think it just kind of comes out. I think it's just a natural singing voice.
What? That I've never understood that, dude. I've always thought that. Every time he comes on the radio, I'm like, how did he think to do that? You know?
I think the biggest surprise isn't that he thought to do that, it's that he can still do it 50 years later and sound the same.
Did
Yeah,
you
that
were you
really
the one
suggests that it's natural. right?
were you the one that said you just seen him recently?
Yeah, I just saw him in concert probably
Oh.
2 weeks ago, maybe 3.
In Montana?
No, and I flew back to DC
Oh, that's sick, man.
and they were awesome. Probably the best concert that I've ever been to.
Right on.
Nice.
And they're almost 80.
That's crazy, man. That's fucking nuts, bro.
You like to party with 80-year-olds?
Yeah,
Wow,
that was
bro.
pretty much it. It was a bunch of like 50, 60-year-old men and their kids at the concert.
That
That's
is
great.
sick.
Current band is probably Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay.
I like his voice,
Yeah.
and I like the way that they write music and the kind of the themes that they use. I'm not as big into music as you guys are, but
Very good songwriters. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like each person in that band has like full command of their instrument. Very good, very
Right.
talented. Yeah, for sure.
and then most underrated band is Pretty Reckless.
I've actually never heard of them.
Their lead singer is Taylor Momsen, and she's got a fantastic voice, and she writes kind of the same as Avenged Sevenfold, a lot of darker themes.
Okay, what's the name of the band? The Pretty
Reckless.
All right, I'm gonna jot that down because I'm always interested in checking out new bands. All right, cool. Diet, what you got for us?
Number one band growing up was System of a Down.
Okay.
I jammed out to far too much of that.
Favorite album from System of a Down?
What's the one with Chop Suey?
Toxicity.
Toxicity.
Thank you. Yeah, Toxicity. It's my favorite album.
My favorite System of a Down album was Steal This Album that came out right after that.
Yes, that was a good album. Yeah. It's my-
Dude, System of a Down has, I think it's funny with Chop Suey how like stupid of a song that is. And then my favorite song of them is actually Lonely Day, which is
yes,
like
dude, so-
surprisingly serious for a band like them.
yes,
They're very political, man. They're very, very
Mhm.
much, yeah.
very much so.
Fun fact, not to cut you off, but John D owns a comic book store in Las Vegas, and he's also enjoys playing No Limit Hold'em. And he came into the casino a bunch when I worked at Red Rock, and I dealt to him a couple times, and I also was working on the floor when he came in. I never like wanted to bug him. You don't do that, right? You don't go up
Right.
to him and fanboy him. But I did drop some hints that I liked his music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jose Canseco and Oral Hershiser were regulars in there, and OJ Simpson came in there a couple times too. But
Ooh, and you're still alive to tell a
Nice.
tale.
It's still
funny story, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt. Funny story, dude. One day, OJ Simpson comes in. He just got released out of prison, right? And there's a bar right by the poker room. Poker room's right on the front entrance, right? Anyways, there's a buzz going on because everybody's like, oh my God, it's OJ Simpson, right? So OJ Simpson is at the bar that's like 15 to 20 steps away from the poker room. And there's a couple there. And they're like a little bit older or whatever. But the wife looks at the husband and says, oh my God, I'm going to go over there and take a picture of him. And she walks off. And the husband's just like smiling, shaking his head. He's like, whatever, OJ Simpson. And then she's like a white blonde lady, right? So she takes about 10 steps off. And I look at him right in the eyes, very serious. And I was like, you think maybe you should go check on her?
That's great.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's good. The current band I'm listening to is a band called Cool Company. Their future R&B is their style.
All right.
I'm
What is
really into,
future
like,
R&B?
future R&B. Future R&B is like
What does
a
that mean?
blend.
Well, bro,
It's a
he's from Detroit, man. So they're probably like
They're just like making shit up out there, I guess.
no, I mean they probably have some like innovative like shit going on there that we might not have heard of from like the boonies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's a blend of R&B, funk, and techno style.
That's crazy. All right, I jotted that down too. I will check that out later.
And then my underrated band is Static X.
Okay,
Now, what's
That's-
Static X?
Static X, yeah.
What is that?
What? You know him. Trust me, you know 'em.
Well, I guess there's a reason they're underrated because I have no idea who they are.
You know the band. Like just type it in a chat to look at later. You 100% know the band. Okay. All right, so that was our music, right? Are we doing movies now?
Yep.
Who wants to
Blast
go?
through the movies.
Who
We
wants to go
flying through
first?
these?
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach. You got
I'll
it?
go
ahead,
first with movies.
Yeah, go ahead.
Best trilogy plus for me is Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
This was, mind you, I hadn't seen any Star Wars until I went and visited Hellspawn in Vegas.
That
one
was
of the
hella
things.
low energy watch party too, man. I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry,
It's
yeah.
it's totally okay.
I think back to that trip and I wish I could have shown you a better time, dude, but it was just a tough schedule at the time for me. Yeah.
Dude, you literally squoze me and like made it happen.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Enough with it's been years, dude.
Yeah. I've been holding on to this. I've been holding on to this.
So, best trilogy, Lord of the Rings. Favorite movie. I go to this movie faithfully around the holidays times. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question because Sammy's a firm believer that Die Hard's a Christmas movie. How do you guys feel
It
about
is.
that? Okay.
It's 100% a Christmas movie.
Diet?
I'm on the opposite end of that. I don't
Okay.
feel that Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
All
I
right.
watch it almost every Christmas.
That's
It's
exactly
a
what
Christmas
Sammy
movie.
says. That's exactly what Sammy says, right? And then Sammy, like, not to like put his personal information out there, but he is he's a very religious person, and I would expect a religious person to be the first one to be like, it's not about Christmas, but he's firm, bro. It's like a family tradition for him. Christmas Eve.
It doesn't have to be about Christmas for it to be a Christmas movie.
It's all about perspective, brother. It's all about how you see things.
I have another hot take about Christmas movies, which is The Shining is a Christmas movie,
Okay.
and I'll stand by that one.
All right. Okay.
And then my best bad movies, and these I wouldn't I qualified it as bad as like I'm not gonna ask somebody to come over and watch these with me. That's the Austin Power movies.
Okay.
Are those bad?
Like I said, I categorize bad as like I'm not gonna ask anybody else to come and watch these with me.
Have you guys ever experienced like trying to watch a movie from back in the day with somebody that's never seen it before, and then when you watch it, you're like, "Ooh, this didn't age well. Like this isn't as funny as I remember it." Have you guys ever had that experience?
I don't think so. My mom tried to show me a movie,
Yeah.
which was I always get the wrong name of this movie. Not Goodfellas. God, I can't remember right now. But she showed me this movie,
The Godfather.
and it was like it was Sean Connery,
Okay.
and it was about him being like a detective or whatever, or policeman,
Okay.
and it was just terrible. It was so boring, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was waiting for Ray Liotta to come on."
Dude, I had
Because she just had the wrong movie.
Dude,
So we watched this terrible movie for no
that-
reason.
I had that experience years ago with my wife, dude, because she had never seen Wayne's World. And I was like, oh my God, you've never seen Wayne's World? And we watched Wayne's World, and it was not funny, bro. She gave me a bunch of fake laughs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
You didn't think it was funny? I watched it recently. I thought it was still pretty good. It's not
Yeah.
like hilarious, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
I was like, like the scene where like Garth gets sick in the car and he's like, if you're gonna spew into this, like that used to bust us up back in the day, man. But I was like, I was having like secondhand embarrassment, dude, because I had built that up so much and it wasn't that funny, dude. And she
The
was
movie was The Untouchables that I was talking about.
like, okay,
I got it.
All right.
That movie was terrible. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
But I think Austin Powers holds up. That's the whole point.
I think Austin Powers holds up, yeah.
That's why I brought that up. I feel like Austin Powers holds up.
I've definitely gone back to watch the movie The Expendables, and it's not as good. You get the hype of all the
I don't
action
remember that
stars
being
in
that
there.
good in the beginning when it came out. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't.
I was a big action person for a really long time, so there's like all these action stars are in there. I'm like, oh man, this is great. Went back to watch the series again, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Not as great as I remember it.
All right. What do you got for us, Zach?
What was the question?
So we're looking at your best movie that was at least a trilogy.
Oh,
your favorite movie and your favorite bad movie.
The best movie that was a trilogy of Star Wars. Those are my favorite movies.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to
Episode
ask.
5 is my favorite, like overall.
Can we backtrack just for a second? I'm sorry, because I'm going to ask you
Okay.
guys both the same question. Diet, how do you feel about Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy? What's your take on that? Because I feel like a lot of people that love Lord of the Rings trilogy, they did not like the Hobbit.
I think people who like The Hobbit expected the magic of their childhood with Lord of the Rings.
I see. Dude, I thought the Hobbit series was
I-
fucking sick. It did
I
drag.
thoroughly
It
enjoyed
dragged.
it.
It
I
dragged.
think that the problem with, because the Lord of the Rings was awesome, and I don't know that there's anybody who really disagrees with that. But The Hobbit was based on a book that was like 40 pages long, and they turned it into 3 movies somehow. So it's just like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Hobbit movies too. To answer that, Spud, my wife does not like Lord of the Rings.
Really?
She falls asleep every time. Like every time.
Same. They're just not in. Some people are just not into it. They get excited over
Mhm.
like nails and makeup, bro. Like you start waving like broadswords and dragons.
Yeah.
They're like, they go to sleep, dude.
Yeah, she's not a fan of like period
Mhm.
movies. So anything that starts
Okay.
to stretch back in time, she's like,
All right.
Well, Lord of the Rings is a fake universe. What do you mean?
doesn't
So,
matter.
so I'm sorry to have cut you off there, but I guess you could probably guess what my question is there. I think that universally everybody can kind of accept that the last 3 Star Wars that came out were garbage.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
let's talk about the Anakin trilogy versus the Luke Skywalker trilogy. Like, how did you
Okay.
feel about the Anakin trilogy? Because I thought it was fantastic.
I thought that the episode 2 kind of sucks. It's just a lot of talking and nothing. And there's not a whole lot of action and, big set pieces.
you're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi as a detective.
Yeah. When he goes to Camino and gets all the clones and stuff.
What?
I thought that movie kind of dragged. Episode 1 was good with the pod racing and the Darth Maul scene. And
Yep.
episode 3 was arguably my favorite, which is, when they have the big fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
But dude, the Yoda and the what was his name?
And the Palpatine.
Not Palpatine.
fight?
No, it was
Count Dooku?
Yeah, Yoda and Count Dooku fight was sick, right?
I don't think so. I thought that fight was
Really?
kind of boring.
Oh man.
They just kind of threw rocks at each other and they were like,
Bro.
guess we're a match.
Bro, we've been waiting 47 years to see Yoda fucking do something other than like just
And
haul
Yoda
around.
was sick in episode 3 against Palpatine, but in that one it was underwhelming.
I have a question for the both of you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I have a bit of identity crisis when it comes to Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm just not a Star Wars fan of the movies.
Okay.
I just can't. I have a hard time watching them all the way through. But I am an avid fan of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I don't know where that puts me in the Star Wars realm. Maybe you guys can help me with that.
I have a theory. My theory is that your love for Mandalorian has nothing to do with your love for the Star Wars universe. It comes from fatigue from bullshit on Netflix.
Interesting.
Because
I feel like The Mandalorian isn't too much of a Star Wars TV show. It's more of an action show rather than a Star Wars show.
It's in the
if
Star
that makes
Wars
sense.
universe.
Yeah. But it is. But it's not.
I feel
It's
like
more of an action show than a Star Wars show.
I feel like there's so much mediocre shit that you have to scroll through. That shit just shines through
Mhm.
real easy. You know
And I feel like
it's
a
pretty
new
good,
show that
though.
just came out, which is Andor, is kind of in the same realm where it's in Star Wars. Like there's references and stuff, and it's in the Star Wars universe, but it's not the same. It's a serious show. Like
See, I considered it part of Star Wars only because like there was like Jedi, and
Dude, if we-
lightsabers and stuff.
if we
like
had,
it's still Star Wars, but it's not like
if we had
it's
Sammy,
different.
if we had
Okay.
Sammy in this podcast, dude, he would be going to war with you right now over the Mandalorian.
Really?
He loves it. He thinks it's amazing. He really loves the what do they call it? The canon. The
Mhm.
canon behind the franchises.
The
Like
lore.
he's really like he likes the Mandalorian. So
Mhm.
you
I thought the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were good. The last one was weird.
you'd get a different answer, I think, depending on who you talk to.
I mean,
I'm not saying the Mandalorian. I think the Mandalorian is very good. I'm just saying it's the reason that you like it and not Star Wars is because it's different.
Mhm.
It's not the same
And
as the
it's okay.
movies.
I think I've heard the term spaghetti western been thrown around.
Yeah.
with that as well.
Absolutely. And then you got to understand too, like The Mandalorian has had the benefit of 20 years to get their shit right. You know, you're
Yeah.
watching a movie that was produced back in the late 70s, early 80s. You know what I mean? It's just not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
Yeah.
have the polish.
I think
Mhm.
now that you say that too, I think there is a matter of right place, right time, because I think The Mandalorian did come out right around COVID shutdown, right?
Yeah.
I think it came out a little earlier, if I remember,
And
because that was one of the first shows that Disney put out after they bought it.
And I also don't want to like sound like I'm shitting on The Mandalorian because I thought it was pretty good. It started a little slow
I thought it was
for me,
good.
but yeah, it's not
Mhm.
bad. But I think to answer your question, I think that maybe like it's hard to find something on Netflix that really
Mhm.
piques your interest. So like, you know, when you find something that's somewhat interesting, like it's good. You know what I mean? It's really good.
Mhm.
But Mandalorian would never make your top 10 list. You know what I mean? If you're talking about all the
Right.
shows you've watched in your life, you know what I mean? It just stands out now because there's so much kind of mediocre shit, in my opinion. But where are we at here?
We
We totally cut off. We totally cut off. We totally cut Spud off after his first answer.
That's
Yeah.
why it's a strong silent type.
Sorry. man.
So yeah, you were wrapping up best trilogy with that. And
Yeah.
then, favorite movie was next.
Me?
Yep.
Yeah.
So my favorite movie outside of Star Wars is Reservoir Dogs,
Okay.
Okay.
which was
that's the one.
if you
Quentin Tarantino.
haven't seen it, yeah, Quentin Tarantino. It's a movie about criminals who rob a bank and then somebody betrayed them basically, and they're trying to figure out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Was that his first movie, Quentin Tarantino?
I think so.
Okay. All right. And your
Was that his
favorite
first
bad
one?
movie?
My favorite bad movie is Rubber.
Rubber. What?
Rubber.
Oh
a-
my god! Yes.
Do you know that?
Yes, that's a good pick.
It's so stupid. It's about a tire, a sentient tire, like a car tire, who has mind powers so he can make things explode.
Wow.
And it doesn't talk. It doesn't say anything.
That
It
sounds.
doesn't
That
have
sound-
like a voice or a face or anything. It just blows things up.
That sounds on the same level as Sharknado, man.
It pretty much. It's in that same realm
Wow.
where it just makes no sense at all.
So I
It's
have,
just so stupid.
so far I have written down The Pretty Reckless, Cool Company, and the movie Rubber. I'll have to check
Mhm.
those. I have no clue. That's great. So for me, the best movie that was at least a trilogy. It was kind of hard to pick, but I figured you guys would cover like Star Wars, and I'm surprised that Matrix wasn't a pick. I was thinking about that, but I'm gonna go with the Back to the Future trilogy. I think it's one of those movies that stands the test of times. I think that like kids can watch it today and it's still fun, funny, interesting.
Now, were the second two good? Because I don't remember seeing 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think they're really good, man.
Okay.
I think all. I would be hard pressed to tell you which one was my favorite because I think they were all good.
Hmm.
And if you haven't
Okay.
seen them, I would definitely watch them, dude. They're pretty good. Like they're not gonna like
All right.
they're not gonna be the best movie you've ever seen, edge of your seat type shit, but they're good movies, man. I would watch them.
Yeah, Matrix is definitely like on the heels of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's
Really?
that's gonna be my pick for my favorite movie is The Matrix.
Wow.
I just don't think that I can think of a story that was better than The Matrix in my lifetime.
Mhm.
You know, just as
Mhm.
far as like, you know, you watch these like murder mysteries and at the end you find out who the killer is and you're like, oh my God, that blows my mind. Like the whole movie, the concept behind it, I
Mhm.
thought it was so creative. I thought that The Matrix just like kind of invoked thought, you
Yes.
know, with anybody
Yes.
that watched the movie. Like it just kind of like whatever you believe in this world and stuff, like it definitely like just kind of changed your mindset, reset how you look at things. Thought it was a great movie.
I think it's funny you say that because I don't know that that's even Keanu Reeves' best trilogy.
yeah,
I feel like John Wick is
yeah.
definitely up there.
Well, so like for me, the pick has nothing to do with the actors. It's more
Mhm.
about the story. Yeah.
Right.
For me, yeah. Like you could have put I don't know, who would have made another good Neo, do you think? Jean-Claude Van Damme? He would have made a good Neo,
Oh, that's a good question. Who makes a good Neo?
you know?
I think it's hard to do the
What if
who's a better actor for
what-
this.
What if What if it was Jean-Claude Van Damme as Neo and Ving Rhames as Morpheus?
That's a good one.
That-
It's a good alternate universe.
the fucking movie still would have been amazing, dude. You know?
But only if the Oracle is Samuel L. Jackson.
There you go, with a wig on. Absolutely.
Just
What am I supposed to do? Motherfucker, when the time's right, it'll show itself to you.
Dude, yeah, that would be so good.
And my favorite bad movie is going to be a movie called Go.
Go.
If you haven't seen it, you gotta fucking watch it. The movie is about these kids that work in a grocery store who do drugs, who take a
Okay.
weekend trip to Las Vegas. But it is in the Pulp Fiction styling. You see the same
Okay.
day
Mm.
through 5 different people's eyes.
Mm.
And it's got some...
But it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. It is
Okay.
hilarious. And it's got some actors in it that you are definitely going to recognize. I don't know their names because I'm not like one of those people that know everybody's name.
For sure.
But watch Go, dude. It is amazing. I watched that movie at least 55 times in my life, dude. Really good. I used to own the VHS, right? But we don't have VHSs anymore. It was like early 90s or something. But yeah, that's it, man. That's all we got. We went to an hour and 20 minutes. We probably better cut it off. I was worried we weren't going to be able to rant for long enough, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could go another 40 minutes, no problem.
We definitely could.
Mm-hmm. Should we?
Definitely could.
No, we're good. It was really good having a conversation with you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. And if you guys made it this far, thanks for hanging out and listening. I hope we weren't too boring or anything. But what we really want you to do is kind of check out the Geek Arena podcast and everything they got going on in the 1776 gaming community.
Mhm.
You can connect with them through the Discord server. I think the best way is, and I'm going to get this website wrong, so I'm going to type it in real quick just to make sure, 1776gaming.com. That'll get you a link into the Discord, kind of show you like what they got going on and stuff. They got a lot of, they're building. They're trying to get some interesting community events going on and stuff. So definitely check them out. And you guys got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to read some more alternate universe lineups of movies in the comment section. That's
For
gonna
sure.
be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Absolutely.
be great.
All right.
People are tuning out as we speak.
Yeah.
All
right.
man.
I'm going to cut it, guys. Have a good night. Thanks, guys,
All
for
right.
listening.
Good
Thanks,
night.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
And that wraps it up for this episode of the Geek Arena, where freedom meets frags and the grind never stops. If you're not already part of the 1776 Discord, what are you doing? Come squat up, talk trash, drop memes, and be part of the most based gaming community on the internet. And hey, don't forget to smash that like button, follow us on Spotify and YouTube, and most importantly, leave us a 5-star review. Not 4, not 3, 5, or we'll send a level 99 paladin to your house. Until next time, stay sharp, stay salty, and always keep nerd turds burning.